Hey guys, Danie here from VapeKing Mega Store in Fourways. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial for you on how to build a mesh tank, and I'm going to be using the Profile M RTA, which is the latest mesh tank, and I'll be building on the Jelly Box Mini. This is an 80 watt single battery device, and then of course I'm going to be using the famous Paulie Sago Custard today. I'm going to put the base on the device, and then we are going to unscrew your clamps. Alright, as you can see, they are nice and open. Okay, bending tool in hand, and we are going to be bending our mesh. So make sure that it is evenly bent all the way around, and done. That's it. Now the way I build mesh is a little bit different than the instruction manuals will say, or YouTube tutorials, but mine does work, and I'm going to show you my way of doing it, as you can vape it much higher, get a lot more flavor out of it. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pre-burn this at under 30 watts to make sure that it lights up evenly all throughout the coil, and also if there's any hot spots you'll be able to tell. So I've got it on 26 watts, and we can fire it up, and as long as it's at roughly 26 watts you can hold it in and it will not hurt your mesh strip. Alright, this one, as you can see, heated up very well. Let's take it out. Lovely, mesh cools down almost immediately, and we are going to be taking out our piece of cotton. Now when you do build the Profile M RTA, you can cut a strip like this in half, but for the purposes of this video I'm going to be using a full strip to show you exactly at which angles you should cut and how much to thin it out with. Okay, so the center you're just going to roll a little bit, place it down, and your mesh strip goes over it. Be careful not to bend your mesh strip when you do this. And tighten it in properly. Alright. There we go. Now this is what it basically looks like. It looks like a little bow tie at this stage. Now we are going to be cutting it at a 45-degree angle, leaving roughly 0.5 centimeters to 0.7 centimeters next to the mesh strip before cutting down. Just like so. There we go, same on the other side. There we go. This is what it'll look like from the top. Now what we're going to be doing is thinning it out. Now you don't want to thin it out underneath your mesh strip. If you thin it out here, you'll get hot spots. So you want to thin out the bottom parts so that it can soak up juice fast enough so you can enjoy it a lot better under this mesh. Alright, so what you do is you grab the one side of the cotton between your two fingers, tilt it upside down, and you thin it out from the bottom. And you can thin it out quite a bit. Okay, nice and thin, and quite a lot. Quite a bit coming out, but only from the bottom. We're not taking anything from the top. There we go. Let me do the other side. If I knew some camera tricks I would speed it up, but I don't. Okay. Nicely done. Alright. So now actually it looks a lot more like a little bow tie at this stage. Now the next step is we are going to be cutting it the correct size to fit into the feeding wells, feeding slots. There we go. So we are cutting it like a little arrow basically. There we go. Now this cotton is still too thick on the sides to just tuck into your feeding slot, so you need to get that even thinner, and the way to do that is I use a very small screwdriver and I split the cotton just like that. Right, same on the other side. I split the cotton, and then right over here we're going to cut a little piece off. There we go. Now it's a lot thinner, so we can tuck this into the bottom just like that. There's still a lot of space available, and same on the other side. Tuck it in, and there's still a lot of space. Right, next what we are going to be doing is we are going to push the cotton even thicker underneath the mesh. So the way you do that, hold your finger on this side of your mesh so that when you push it on this side, you don't push the entire cotton through. So I'm pushing it, and then I'm softly just adding in more cotton underneath that coil. Just like that. Same on the other side. There we go. Now you can make sure that it's still pressed in on both sides. It is, and same on this side. Now this doesn't look like the neatest build, but it's definitely a build that's going to work very well. This would be my end product without it being juiced up. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it definitely works the best. Alright, let's juice it up. So you want to wet this everywhere, saturate it properly in liquid, because the first test we're going to do is to look for hot spots. And we look for hot spots on the mesh strip only when it's juiced up, and to see if the cotton is thick enough underneath the coil. So hopefully on this build we don't actually have any issues. Alright, so we're still juicing this guy up, and now when I fire it the first time, I am going to point it at the camera. If there's any red spot on the mesh, that means we have a hot spot. Okay, so it is on 70 watts, and let me just change the light color on here. Let's make it green, why not? Alright, okay, let me show you first. No hot spots. Nope. And look at that light. This looks fantastic. Actually, just look at this entire build. You know it does well if you don't have to blow it, and it's still going. And see how it's drying. It actually cut off on the 10-second mark. Look at how dry it is on the sides of that cotton. Means it's working. It's soaking the juice up so good. Okay, I want to try this because it smells divine. Let's juice it again. Now to fill this guy up, it's so much easier than the normal way. You don't have to unscrew it every time you want to fill it up. No, in fact you are just going to be sliding it open. And when you slide it open, this is a simple way. It's got a little silicone strip there that stops the juice from pouring back out. And we can just fill this up. And because I'm a daredevil, I'm going to try and chain vape this on roughly 70 to 75 watts. I have a little bit of faith in my own build. Okay, taste test, and I'm doing the taste test on 73 watts. Let's see. Wow, look at that cloud. Wow. Yes, yeah, I'm getting cinnamon notes coming through afterwards. It's actually so good. It sits right on my tongue. And then of course the warm vanilla custard is always there. One more. Oh, this is really, really, really delicious. And it's not too sweet. It's not, I know I would think, because I don't really like dessert flavors, but I would think if I vape a dessert, it's going to be too sweet, and it's not. I could vape this all day, and look how much look how much we are using. This is insane. Now imagine that as flavor, because that's what I'm getting in my mouth. I'm literally getting all of that just so condensed as flavor. It's really good. And that's been quite a few pulls, but I am going to try and chain vape it now to see how far I can push it before I get a dry hit. Because I know the worst is a dry hit on mesh. Alright? Well, that is about half a tank, and it's still going beautifully. I did switch it to 75 watts, give it a bit more power, and there is no way of faking a dry hit, so I definitely didn't get one, especially not on mesh. Alright guys, that's all from us, and we'll see you next Wednesday.